Content creation is killing us. I first uploaded my very first YouTube video 10 years ago and it was amazing. I just put it there, didn't really know anything about YouTube because it was quite new at the time. Not that many people used it, not that many people uploaded on it. I didn't even check it for months, and then I came back later, I was like, oh, that's got a lot of views, and a video I'd uploaded had like 30,000 views or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I guess some people are interested in that video. I'll just let it do its thing. I logged off for many, many months later, and I checked back in and it had like maybe 200,000 views, and I was like, oh, cool. It's cooking nicely. I'll just leave it be. Checked back in another year, and it kept kind of building, and it was something I didn't really need to babysit or monitor. And it was quite nice. I was like, oh, cool. Someone is interested in that type of therapy that I'm demonstrating in that video. And I got on with my life. I got on with my working life. Everything was great. Fast forward 10 years later. Oh my God. I very much have a purpose in relation to my content, and I feel that purpose is a pretty good purpose. However, it's killing me. Like, it's really hard what I'm currently doing. It will get easier. I've had to work on a lot of delegation, but even with that delegation, I'm getting burnt out a lot. And I'm speaking to other influencers, and they're saying the exact same thing, that they're spending so much time on their content. It's very hard for them to make it financially viable. And really what has actually happened is there's too much competition in the market. So there's too many people creating content. The way that we consume content ever since short content came out means that our attention spans for content are not very good. So therefore, even long form video creators like myself still have to be repurposing content in short form, even though I don't believe in short form, because otherwise we're not pumping out enough content in order to do well. So this is horrendous. So just to clarify, I only make long content videos. And the reason I only make long content videos is I believe that they're sustainable, and I see short content as the fast fashion of the content world, with long form being sustainable, being the content that can stay around for much longer and add more value. Whereas short content doesn't stay around for a long period of time. We're talking days often. And with YouTube videos, long form videos like this, it can actually stay around for many, many years. I have some videos that are 10 years old and people are still actually watching them, which is incredible. But I've actually been forced to hire someone to sort out my short, to repurpose everything into short, which is at the risk of things being taken out of context. And it's also at the risk of not being able to give true value to people. And while I absolutely point blank refuse to film short content at this point in my career, I feel I have no option but to be putting out short content, particularly since YouTube went to short form because they felt they had no choice but to add a short form option to be able to keep up with the competition. So anyway, what I really want to emphasize today is about how content creation is really putting us in this position of people being extremely burnt out. The only work I've ever become burnt out from, bearing in mind I'm a mental health entrepreneur, I juggle a lot of things, and I have never, ever got burnt out from any of that work before, even when it was stressful and even when it was not going well. But I've been burnt out several times from content creation. And the reason I've been burnt out several times from content creation is you can't always be creating. And I think in other industries, like if someone is a painter, they sort of, I think they still struggle with creative blocks from time to time, but they take space to create. Writers take space to create, and they kind of fit it into certain blocks. But I think the pressure on content creators to create so often and have such a big output means that none of us can really keep up. Because as I mentioned, 10 years ago, I'd put out a video and it was so satisfying. There was hardly any competition on social media. So your video, if it was a niche topic and if you presented it was a good, interesting video, it would just do well. And you didn't have to babysit it. You didn't have to respond to all the comments. You could kind of respond to a few and it wouldn't really affect how well the video did. These days, the competition is really tough. You really have to present to an exceptional quality, which I think that part is good. But to feel like you have to be putting out content at least twice a week in long form, and even more frequently in short form, is a disaster for anyone, because first of all, how can you make it financially viable? I know a lot of people do, and some people are the lucky ones, particularly those content creators who can film something kind of off the cuff, maybe something comedy, and they just manage to do it in like a few takes, and then they put it out there. They can kind of edit it quickly themselves, and then and then it's done. But anyone who needs to have a team behind them, it gets very expensive. And then people who can't afford the team, they're doing everything themselves. So I know that currently how I'm doing things is not sustainable forever. I'll continue on for a number of months, but if I can't delegate more and if I can't make this viable, I'll have to just decrease my output, which would be a real shame, because I love doing this. I love interacting with my audience. I love particularly YouTube because it's a community and people really interact and they leave a lot of comments, and it becomes this kind of two-way conversation sometimes, which is really cool. And people have said that my videos have really helped them in relation to their mental health, which is so satisfying. So it would be a shame if I had to stop creating content because of this dangerous world that we live in. Things have just gone too fast and I can't cope with it. I absolutely cannot cope with it. I'm in a great place in my life. I'm very happy. Everything's going really well. Things are just good for me. But at the same time, I am also in this bubble of trying to be a content creator and being part of that conveyor belt of putting out content, and it's not viable for most people. Either I can make it work because I'm an entrepreneur and I kind of know how to kind of monetize things, and I know how to manage budgets, and I know how to not make a loss on things, and I know how to delegate and all this. So of all people, I should be able to make this work, but I might not be able to because of the number of times that I've experienced burnout already from trying to make content. And then also, it's hard to compete these days. Like, there is a lot of content out there. There's a lot of people, particularly in mental health, who are not fully trained experts, and they just have a passion for mental health, and they're putting out the information. So it's not even reserved for mental health experts, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that, but there's a lot of competition with content. And then actually, because you've got so much competition, you've got like mental health advocates, you've got actual qualified practitioners, and we're all trying to comment on the same things. And if people really want to be following people in relation to mental health, they tend to follow the people who have the biggest output. Like, if you stop posting, people forget about you. You start, everything changes with the algorithm. You start on YouTube in particular, your monthly revenue goes down, your number of new subscribers every month goes down, your number of views per month all go down. So everything on the metrics goes down as soon as you just take a week off. So there's so much pressure to like keep things running. And also, it's kind of a young person's game. I recently got someone on my team. He's 26 years old. He's a lot younger than me. And he knows this industry a lot better than I do, which is fantastic. And it's great to collaborate with younger people, particularly people who know tricks that I don't. But it's like, it's a serious business. You need to really have a bit of financial freedom to be even entering this space in the first place. And I don't know how people are doing it. I really worry about people's mental health because I'm in a kind of privileged position because I know so much about mental health that every time my mood dips a tiny little bit, or when my cognitions go into a direction that's less than ideal, I catch it and I'm like, okay, mental health is slightly declining here. What's wrong? Let's do something about it. I really worry for people who don't have that kind of experience and don't have that expertise. They're probably falling into this spiral of burnout several times and not knowing how to get out of it, and also perhaps being quite critical on themselves and their work. It's hard because as a woman, if you're having a bad hair day or bad skin day, you just don't want to film. And I think also, the pressure to look good on social media is a pressure that never goes away, because even the really natural people out there who are like doing no makeup and they're showing their flaws and they're showing that you don't need to be perfect, which is amazing. I love that people are doing that. You still, if you're putting content out on a regular basis, you're still measured against the most beautiful people out there. And the most beautiful people out there are still going to attract a lot of views because of their beauty. So although there's loads of people who are doing justice for putting the messages across, we do not need to be perfect to film videos. and it's a battle that we all kind of struggle in ourselves. We have to let go, particularly with females or people where we are judged a lot on our appearance, and when we know and notice that videos where we look better do better. So you're constantly kind of under the pressure of knowing that you have to look good, but then you also have to battle not being perfect and having to know when you can kind of turn up and not have perfect hair, not have perfect makeup. So it's like this balancing act of like, how good is good enough? And that happens not just in terms of looks, but also with the content that you're putting out. How many times do you review a video before it goes out? Can you trust people to review the content for you so you don't have to review it, so that you save a whole load of time? So it's an absolute nightmare. It's killing us. And I wonder, will we look back at this day and age in 10 years time and go, what were all these people on? What were they doing? Will we have a different way of doing this? Will we have loads of content cafes like we used to have loads of internet cafes in the 90s? Will we have loads of content cafes that just pop up and you walk in like a disheveled mess and they just fix your makeup, fix your hair, you network with the other influencers and you just go, oh, hey, do you want to do a podcast now? And then you were just walking by, you hadn't even planned to go in there. You pop into the content cafe, everything gets sorted, and you're out in less than an hour. And you're like, oh yeah, they email over the content. Maybe they even edit it for you. And we're not there yet. There obviously is some of these kind of places cropping up where they help people with content. They're very expensive though. So will there be enough content creators in the future where actually that's a viable business model where they can all do it for you in a cost-effective way? Because it's not very cost-effective to get your videographer to come around. It's not very cost-effective to be paying editors, all that stuff. So I hope we look back on this in 10 years time and we're all laughing about how we spent our time as content creators, because we realized that the whole thing was ridiculous and we were just trying to do it all wrong, and there was way more effective ways that we could do it if we all kind of collaborate together. But we're not there yet. So until then, look after your mental health if you're a content creator. Look at all this madness and call it what it is. It's absolute madness. I'm involved in it. I am proud to be involved in it. I walk into a room sometimes and people, they think they know me because they've kind of built a connection with me through my videos, and I barely know them, which is a bit awkward sometimes. But it's nice when someone comes up to me and is like, I love what you said in that video. It's so rewarding, and it's rewarding not because I need validation from strangers. It's rewarding because I want to be sharing my knowledge about mental health, and I want to be sharing it with as much people as possible, not just one client at a time. So I want to be able to have a bigger impact in this industry. So I love it, but it's madness. And I hope we recognize it for what it is. It's madness. It has to change. It has to stop. Until then, just take care of your mental health if you're a content creator. I'll see you soon.